The Reaper of Death, he's finally coming back.
Hey Ross, sauce it up.
Naruto simply would stare at Orochimaru, and Orochimaru from here would say, "This boy, he definitely has power." But as he's thinking this, sand would literally leap from behind Orochimaru. As it would grab him by his feet, Orochimaru would look down at an instant before he then immediately swipes the sand away. But as he does that, Naruto would have already appeared right in front of him and would be ready to use his scythe to slash at Orochimaru's chest, sending Orochimaru flying back as his entire chest gets opened. Orochimaru, having this happen to him, would cough out blood and say, "What? When did you?" But before he can even finish the sentence, his body would hit a tree as Orochimaru would open his mouth and regurgitate himself as a whole new person. He would then look at Naruto and say, "So you like using weapons, huh?" He opens his mouth once again and reveals the Kusanagi blade. And from here, Naruto smiles, saying, "Interesting." As he would proceed to pretty much hold both hands out in an X formation and create two long sword style versions of the sand blades that Haku once used, as he would then rush in at Orochimaru and dual wield fight against Orochimaru. Now keep in mind, this version of Naruto is not no slouch when it comes to using a sword. He has the experience and the know-how that Zabuza had, seeing as he stole his soul. He also has the experience that Haku gained. He has the experience of Rasa and Gaara. Just put that all together and you create an absolute monster. He rushes in at Orochimaru, who at first would try to use his blade to outplay Naruto, trying to think that he has more experience than him, but it's as if this genin has had years of lifetimes of experience when it comes to using the sword. It's incredible. Orochimaru is shocked at this. He doesn't know how to react. I mean, what is he supposed to do? But suddenly, out of nowhere, a thick fog would envelop the area, or I guess you could say a mist, as Orochimaru begins to have his senses get dulled out a bit. But Orochimaru would simply say enough, as he would use a wind style jutsu to blast all of the fog out of the way. But as he's doing this, Naruto would be rushing in his direction once more, and he would hit Orochimaru square in the jaw, sending him flying into a tree, appearing right behind him, kicking him up into the air, as from here, he would proceed to use his sand abilities to pretty much have two huge pillars of sand come in the air and crush Orochimaru between them. As Orochimaru was like, "When? What?" And he would pretty much end up hitting the ground with a thud as Naruto lands right beside him, and he takes out his scythe, saying, "Now you will face judgment," holding his scythe in a reverse script style. But before Naruto can do anything, Orochimaru would simply think two things. He has to get out of there now. And so Orochimaru would reverse summon himself by summoning Manda, and Manda would appear right in front of Orochimaru as he would say, "How dare you summon me?" But at that same moment, Naruto would come rushing in and pretty much make physical contact with Manda as Orochimaru reverse summons himself back into the Snake Mountain. And once he does this, Manda would look at Orochimaru as he says how dare he summon him and enter their plane of existence. But lo and behold, Naruto went straight with him. And when Naruto sees Orochimaru, he says, "Excuse me, snake," as he hits the snake away, and then a smile appears on his face as he straight up proceeds to wipe this man from existence. I mean, his body's still there, but he sucks his soul straight out of there. This man's soul is never coming back. And seeing as he can't exactly just jump to another body now that his body is pretty much just a shell, he's pretty much dead. Now, this is going to have a lot of repercussions on the next couple of arcs that would have happened in the series, but before that, I have to cover other things. Like, what happens once Naruto realizes that he is surrounded by tons and tons of snakes. Naruto, seeing this, would think to himself, so, where am I? As the giant, the biggest, the leader, would say, you're in the snake cave. Leave now. And a bunch of snakes would appear behind Naruto, and he would pretty much be surrounded by them, with him saying, how dare you threaten the god of death. As from here, he proceeds to pretty much weave hand signs that would cause the earth to turn into sand and then just wrap around each of the snakes, like creating these domes that they just could not get out of, before he then freezes them and adds another layer of protection on top of that, and tells the main leader that if he doesn't want all of these snakes to die, that he'll teach him his secrets, because now that he took Orochimaru's body, he understands exactly where he is. And the snake would pretty much have no choice. He's pretty much being held at blackmail, you know what I mean? And so what ends up happening is they end up having to teach Naruto Snake Sage mode. And yeah, he proceeds to ask to be trained and is told no, but he ends up having to be trained because they can't help it. And so he ends up learning Snake Sage mode over the next month. Instead of being with Team 7 and participating in the final battles or even having his 1 month training period, he instead instantly just ends up starting to train and misses that entire portion of the Chunin exams, meaning he got kicked out of it. And he would have also used the multi-shadow clone jutsu to actually learn Snake Sage mode way faster than he would have if he didn't do that. He would reverse summon himself back to the Leaf Village after learning it and return back these snakes to how they normally would be without his restraints there. When he arrives, he would actually arrive just in time for the Chunin exams where nothing happens. Keep in mind, Orochimaru is now dead. So with Orochimaru dead, Rasa is not there to tell everybody that, oh, we have to do the attack on the Leaf Village. And even if that wasn't the case, Gaara wouldn't be there to be one of the main focuses. By leaving the Jinchuriki there, nothing would have happened. So yeah, no Leaf Village destruction, no Tsunade needed. Naruto still hasn't met Jiraiya, no cleanup. Orochimaru doesn't actually even end up going after Sasuke. So a lot of things are generally avoided by everything that Naruto just pulled. And with Orochimaru straight up having died, Neji is pretty much just concluded as the winner, seeing as this version of Sasuke has no chance against this Neji. Keep in mind, this Sasuke didn't even get to activate his Sharingan against Haku, so that's not happening. He was a lot weaker when he fought against Lee, and he's going to be a lot weaker when he fights against Neji, who, realistically speaking, I personally believe that if Sasuke and Neji were to both have fought in the Chunin exams, I think that Neji would easily stomp Sasuke. I mean, that is if we're not taking his curse mark into account. If Sasuke was to activate his curse mark, then that battle could potentially go either way, but I still have Neji winning that fight, seeing as he was already outclassing. I mean, he was pretty much beating Naruto, and Naruto was clapping the cheeks of Gaara, who Sasuke stood no chance against. Granted, I don't think he used the curse mark, but I mean, I doubt he would even be able to pull it out in the Chunin exam, so I think Sasuke would lose this battle for sure. And yeah, that's pretty much how the Chunin exams actually ends up going. After this, there are no real arcs that I have to cover, seeing as the next Tsunade retrieval arc is pretty much just destroyed, and the Sound 4, they don't even end up trying to kidnap Sasuke. Without a leader, they have no orders, and so what do other than just hope that Orochimaru returns? They all eventually end up realizing that, yeah, this man's definitely dead after Orochimaru doesn't return after a while. And so Naruto essentially is left with nothing to do. Nothing interesting is happening in the Leaf Village, and he simply would go on missions for the next couple of months before then realizing that this is no fun anymore. He's bored. He decides to tell Lord Hiruzen that he's going to be going on a 3-year training journey. However, before that can happen, and Naruto can even, pretty much end up pitching his idea out, Jiraiya, one of the legendary Sanins, would enter the room and tell Hiruzen that he has to talk to him about something. But this is when Hiruzen and Jiraiya would both just look at Naruto, who was standing right in the middle, with Jiraiya introducing himself, saying, "Oh, you must be Naruto. I've been wanting to meet you. What do you say me and you go outside and have a chat? But Naruto turns to Jiraiya and says, I don't feel like chatting with someone like you. Get lost, old man. But Jiraiya is just in utter shock. And Naruto would then tell Hiruzen that he's going to be going off for 3 years to train. With Jiraiya saying, why don't you just train with me, kid? I am your godfather after all. Naruto would turn to Jiraiya and say, can you butt out? Nobody asked what you were. As, Jiraiya's just like, Jesus, this kid is cold. And after Naruto ends up leaving, Jiraiya follows behind him saying that he could offer a lot of, useful training for him. But Naruto would simply look at Jiraiya and say, useful training, you say? What useful training could somebody like you possibly offer me? You're even weaker than Orochimaru, and I single-handedly killed him. And after hearing this, Jiraiya is just shocked. He's like, what did you just say you did? But Naruto would turn to Jiraiya and say, you heard me. As he opens and closes his eyes, revealing Snake Sage mode, and then looks at the direction of Jiraiya saying, what? You truly must have killed Orochimaru. He's one of the only people to have known where to find that snake cave. With Naruto saying that, that's right, he got rid of that problem, seeing as he was intervening with the Chunin exams. And Jiraiya would say that he could still teach him other things, such as this. He ends up revealing the Rasengan, with Naruto saying that that's a nifty trick. He'll definitely have to end up learning how to do that someday, but he should. He would ask Jiraiya what exactly the requirements are for the jutsu, and Jiraiya would say, oh, it's molding chakra and spinning it really fast. Naruto would then look at him and say, is that right? Something like this? Before he then replicates the same exact jutsu using all of Orochimaru's jutsu know-how, as well as the experience from all the other ninjas whose souls he sucked, he would end up creating a perfect Rasengan right in front of Jiraiya. With Jiraiya just dropping his jaw, being like, how did you? But Naruto would say, is that it then? Because if it is, then I gotta go. I have more important matters to attend to. Jiraiya would be in utter just disbelief. He's like, and Naruto just packs his bags and ends up dipping the village for the next 3 years. Now, I would end up explaining what happens during these 3 years, but here's the shortened, summarized version of it. Essentially, Naruto goes on a travel journey where he ends up fighting a bunch of powerful opponents and going throughout lands, pretty much searching out powerful shinobi. And anytime that he would be disappointed in their performance, he sucks their souls out and adds their experience to his repertoire, making him more powerful as the days go by, with his aging growing more and more by the day, and himself doing his own personal training with using his own new abilities that end up, pretty much being heightened and stronger, I guess you could say. Naruto just becomes a completely different beast. This man is just unstoppable. Like, this man is insane. Let me just put it that way. This man is insane. And another thing that I definitely should probably mention, Naruto quite literally no diffs the Akatsuki off screen. You guys remember when Hashirama off screen Madara off screen Hashirama? Like, that was like the really hyped up fight by Kishimoto, and he just like off screened him. That's pretty much what Naruto does to the Akatsuki. One of the first two Akatsuki members that he runs into would be that of Kakazu and Hidan. And after Naruto ends up pretty much slaughtering the both of them and realizing Hidan can't be killed to damage, he sucks the man's soul away and takes his immortality. So now Naruto is immortal, and that smells doom for everybody. Naruto already had his lifespan increased a whole bunch by the fact that he is part Shinigami. But now the man is literally immortal, so he's literally a god now. And with him killing Kakazu, he ends up gaining his powers and experience as well, making him even more busted than he already was. How do you get more busted than that? I don't understand how anybody from here on would be able to possibly defeat anyone. I don't see how anybody could possibly defeat Naruto. Sorry, like, there's just no way. More Akatsuki members eventually end up being thrown at Naruto's way, and he just obliterates them. I'm sorry, but he just destroys them. This version of Naruto was by myself made way too powerful for no reason. And I genuinely should have like held back with a lot of the powers that I gave him. He literally has the ability to rip out souls like Nagato, which is a one-shot kill move. He has one of the most powerful legendary weapons of all time, a Shinigami's Death Scythe. He has abilities to teleport now because he has the abilities of the Flying Raishin. He has the multi-shadow clone jutsu, immortality, Kakazu's powers. With him off-screening the Akatsuki members, he now has the Rinnegan and Sharingan's abilities, Kamui. He has Tsukiyomi. The list goes on and on and on of all the things that Naruto essentially ends up gaining throughout these 3 years. And when he returns to the Hidden Leaf Village, he is a full-on Reaper. Nobody will stand in this man's way. And seeing as I could genuinely just end it here with Naruto being like super OP and ending it off as a really fanficky what if, I'm going to be leaving you guys with one last battle before I dip and go like eat some Chick-fil-A or something. But let's see, who's a good opponent that I could have Naruto fight just to kind of like wank this man, you know what I mean? Oh, yeah, perfect. Toneri. Toneri ends up eventually coming back down to the Leaf Village, where Naruto lives, mind you, and attacks Hinata. The village, now seeing that they pretty much ended up taking Hinata, would end up informing Naruto and asking him to do the mission for them for a high amount of money. And the person in particular who assigns this mission to him would be Hiashi Hyuga, under the authority of Hiruzen. Now, when this happens, Naruto decides, all right, fine. Looks like I'll have to end up taking out this Toneri fellow, right? Now, from here, the rest of the Kages are like, yeah, like, we have to destroy him. Like, we have to use this insanely powerful cannon that, you know, the Raikage has, but Hiruzen tells him to wait. And so he does. And what ends up going down is Naruto ends up finding the same path that they would have found in the last movie, arriving in front of Toneri. And the second that Toneri was like, I have the Tenseigan, Naruto just looks at him and says, bro, I have the Rinnegan and the Sharingan. Now, I have the Rinne Sharingan. He activates a Rinne Sharingan in both eyes and then proceeds to blitz at the direction of Toneri. And Toneri goes in to throw like a moon-crushing punch in his direction, but it just phases through him. And Naruto says, GG's, as chains that he like magically takes out of nowhere, like, well, not magically, chains that he's able to create using his Shinigami half powers wrap around Toneri's neck as Naruto drags Toneri across the entirety of the moon. And this man gets absolutely mollywopped. Toneri gets literally dragged across the entire moon, with him just getting ragdolled by Naruto until eventually he swings him up into the air in Ghost Rider fashion before smashing him straight clean into the entire center of the moon, causing the entire moon to almost explode from the impact. And after that, Naruto just lands in front of Toneri as he sucks the man's soul, who's literally part of Totsuki, and just takes the Tenseigan. Now he has Tenseigan abilities, like the Tenseigan, like QB avatar thingy-majigger. He has access to that. One more thing that Naruto has perfect access to is Kurama's chakra. So you don't get any more powerful than this. And I am so sorry to any Boruto tards out there who think, oh, what about Ishiki? What about Ishiki? No, he's not doing anything to this Naruto. Nobody is touching this god of death-like creature. Momoshiki, forget about it. It's not happening. Naruto literally goes on to live on forever, becomes immortal, mollywhops everybody. The series is done. Bing, bang, boom. I'm a dip. Bye.